Hello and welcome to another bodyStoke video. Today's video is shot south of Las Vegas at Jean Roche Dry Lake Bed. And today we're going to cover the kettlebell swing. Why swing a kettlebell? Well, the swing is the fundamental exercise of kettlebell training, so everything else stems from it. Number two, it's simple, it's portable, inexpensive, and it's a fun way to get fit. Number three, it's efficient. It's a fusion of functional strength, power development, and cardio all in one. Number four, it's dynamic and ballistic, requiring stronger neuromuscular development and connectivity. Number five, rhythmic breath control, core tensioning, and lumbo-pelvic stability, which is key to sustainable fitness and self. 6, similarly, it activates gluteal muscles and promotes pelvic rotational balance. Number 7, it teaches form and postural alignment. And number 8, it demands balanced tensioning and lengthening among antagonistic muscle pairs and groups. Who can benefit by learning kettlebell swings? Individuals seeking weight loss, active lifestylers, bikers, skaters, hikers, joggers, etc., athletic development, sports in general, people looking for something new and fun, contact sports, MMA, wrestling, boxing, etc., busy professionals, EMS and first responders, and exercisers in general. Some considerations and contraindications when swinging a kettlebell. One is lightheadedness. You may be breathing excessively, you may be forcing breath, you may be contracting a little too hard, you may not be exhaling enough, so your breath gets out of rhythm and you can't keep up with the energy demands, and you may dip into the anaerobic zone, which is quite likely. With kettlebell training, you will fluctuate between aerobic and anaerobic quite a bit, and it can be difficult to keep track of. But once you get it down, lightheadedness will not be too much of an issue. Similarly, low back pain and sore neck and shoulders, number 2 and 3, they stem from imbalance and weakness that may be pre-existing. If you have tight hamstrings, weak quads, tight spinal erectors, weak core, and unsynchronized body segments, that will manifest in low back pain. And same with the neck and shoulders. If you have tight traps and your form is off, your cervical spine pain when out of position, you have weak scapular retractors and depressors, or you're simply not activating, that will manifest in tension very quickly, and it will lead to pain, as well as improper swing form and mechanics. If you're pulling the kettlebell and not driving through hip extension during the power phase, that is going to lead to some pain as well. So we got to think about that, and we need to really focus on form when swinging. Okay, so here's a couple repetitions straight on, and then we're going to get into the phases of the swing. We'll break it down. So the phases of the swing: the approach, that is where you position your body around the bell. The hike, that's initiating the swing, pulling the kettlebell up to center. The power phase is extending the hips rapidly, powerfully, and exhaling. At the float phase, number 4, that's where the kettlebell is up, floating, and we are in isometric tensioning of the hips and the thoracic spine. And then we release to the drop, which is the kettlebell guided fall. The arms are guiding it, not reaching forward, just simply guiding. Number 6 is the hip hinge and catch, hip flexion and arm tuck. And we'll go through that here. So we did the approach here, and we're just going to get balanced, The bell is right in the center, hips are squatted down. This little illustration here shows center line going up through the kettlebell, through the hands, hips, trunk, head. And then the square portion, you can see the outer line is the line extending from the arches, ankle, up through the tibia, through the outer knee, where the femur line meets, which is the wide triangle line that's pitched inward. So if we follow that up, that's going to follow the line of the thigh. So it's an externally rotated and abducted position. And you can see it creates this nice shape, this strong form. That's the approach. Here's another side angle of the approach, and we'll pause it here. And the noteworthy junction here is the torso or the spine and hip to heel shape. That creates a 90-degree form, and it's about 90 degrees. That's where you want it to be. And then let's go through the hike. So you can see the hike. I'm pulling the bell up, keeping my torso as it is. I'm raising up as I prepare to power. And here's another illustration of the forces. I just break down some of the forces. You can see the ground reaction force in opposition of my feet, and the drive phase. You can see it extend up to the hips. And again, there's about 90 degrees in the spine to hip to heel line. And if you look at the rotational hip figure, you can see that it is rotating in a counterclockwise manner. And the red line at the top just shows the straight line extending through the spine. And that spinal position is maintained throughout the entire exercise. So there's the control, lumbopelvic control, thoracic control, etc. And so we're going to power up. Here's the power in slow motion, driving through the hips. Arms are still tucked into the torso. Then the bell releases. I'm still driving my arms in and down. Can always do a better job doing that. Neck is floating, head is floating, bell is floating. So here's a figure or an illustration of the float phase. And key considerations, you can see ground reaction force is neutral in this position because we're just standing and floating. However, tension is held isometrically in the pelvis and in the thoracic spine shoulder region. So this would be a posterior rotation through the pelvis. You can see by the arrows. Similarly, in the thoracic spine, shoulder blades are driving in and down. And the core tensioning is on, so the core is tight, and spinal erectors are lengthened. So there is that relationship between the two rotations, keeping it connected. And then we have a square line between the vision and the kettlebell, and you can see that we're clearly in a neutral position here with that isometric contraction. Then we go into the drop phase. Let's let the weight drop down. The arms simply guide it, so we're not reaching forward. We don't want to compromise spinal alignment, and that goes into the hip hinge and the catch. So the arms are tucked in real tight. Let's check it out. Arms are still tucked in, fused into the spine. And then there's the release after the rapid hip drive and exhale. Float phase, drop phase. This is where we breathe in, relax position, and that's it. So again, the phases of the kettlebell swing. We have the approach, where you position your body symmetrically around it. The hike, pulling the kettlebell up to center. The power phase, powerful extension of the hips. It's kind of similar to jumping up. The float phase is the isometric tensioning and release. And the drop is the kettlebell guided fall, which goes into the last and final phase, the hip hinge and catch, which is hip flexion and the arm tuck towards center. So that is the kettlebell swing. Let's check it out regular speed. Here's 4 repetitions. Hike, drive. Core is tight at the top. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope this video helps you on your journey to fitness and a stokier self. Please share and subscribe, and do not forget to stoke somebody.